Hi everybody and welcome back to Hex Token channel. In this video I thought I'd do a good one on, as promised actually, why PulseChain can make you rich, but of course how wealthy depends on you. So hopefully this is going to provide some pretty cool money or crypto making options here with regard to PulseChain. We're going to check it all out, of course. Here we are on PulseChain.com, and of course we've got all the key goals there of PulseChain, which we've gone through many times. If you've seen it, of course, if you sacrifice, you would know all these, and it's pretty cool. So we've got the pulse chain goals, obviously super fast and super cheap. We've got being able to stake your pulse with validators to confirm the blocks on the blockchain. We've got bridges, of course, and trading. So a few options there already in front of us. But let's go and check out a list that I've put together, and hopefully this will give you some food for thought, just to make you think about the pulse chain coming up. You may have sacrificed, you've got points, you're going to get pulse, and it's going to be exciting times when pulse chain launches. You're going to get a system state copy, of course, with pulse chain of everything that you've got on Ethereum, and so it's going to be a fun time as well. All right, so let's have a quick look here. The biggest airdrop in history, remember, biggest airdrop. So huge financial gain opportunities. And so let's have a look at some of the options here. So we've got trade for profit. You can buy and sell Pulse, PLS. So a lot of people will do that. So obviously, all the inflation and pulse is going to happen at the beginning, and that means that all the pulse that will ever be is going to be at the beginning, and then it will deflate over time as 25% of the transactions get a fee get amounts gets burnt. So it's going to slowly accumulate and get less and less and less and less. So the total amount of pulse starts at the beginning, going to get less over time. We've got the Origin wallet in there with huge bags, just like is in Hex, controlling a lot of the supplies. So it's going to be fundamentals are really good. The obviously the difference between Pulse Chain and Hex, for example, is that Pulse Chain is really the network effect, but it still has many of the same fundamentals, such as the Origin wallet. Very cool. On the other hand, of course, the Hex is based on a store of value, and that's the key differences there. So network effect is huge, and of course that's going to look to play out to add value to a deflating token. Pretty awesome, eh? All right, let's get into it. So trade for profit, you could buy or sell your pulse that you get. You could buy more pulse. You could sell the pulse you've got when Pulse Chain goes live. You can make a profit that way by trading. You can sell pulse for PHEX. So straight away you could sell it for pulse for PHEX. Try and get the PHEX. And of course, remember everything starts from zero on pulse chain, and so you could try and get a p hex early and or at all, because if you believe in hex, then it's something good to get. Obviously the cheaper you get it, the better. Should it get parity to eth hex, what's going to happen to eth hex price? So pulse chain is going to be cheaper fees, and obviously hex on eth is facing big fees at least until eth 2.0 comes off. So you could sell pulse for p hex. Now if you sell pulse for p hex, of course other people are going to have pulse. So maybe some bigger accounts start accumulating pulse. You buy PHEX, but PHEX goes up in price. You make gain on that. They're making gain on accumulating more pulse. So all sorts of stuff going on there, folks. Let's have a look at this one at the top here. Potential arbitrage profits via bridges. So you could potentially arbitrage between different tokens on different chains, Ethereum and Pulse chain. There's a possibility there as well. Can be difficult, of course, with timing and fees and things like that, but maybe if it's set up by bots, possibly that's a possible thing that you could do. You could try and do it manually if you see it, but obviously there's a lot of hiccups there to take into account. So possibly not so popular, but definitely happens by some people. Profit by speculating on new pulse chain projects, DeFi and meme tokens. Well, that's definitely possible. And a lot of people will do that. So there's going to be a lot of new projects on Pulse Chain. There's going to be launch pads, we know already. Trough Swap's already said they're going on a Pulse Chain. So you're going to get big launch pads on there with new projects, typically raise up on those, doing IDOs and airdrops and all that goody stuff. So DeFi mean you can speculate on that with your Pulse, or you can just buy these projects with tokens that you've had airdropped, or from stuff that you bridge over from ETH chain. So lots of chance to speculate, just as you do on Ethereum or any other chain like Binance Smart Chain, Cardano, things like that. Collateral lending over here. So obviously collateral lending, you could do that where you deposit your Pulse or some other token, and then you lend against it, and you go and invest and buy something else. Maybe you buy more Pulse, or maybe you buy maybe buy some Hex, or maybe buy any other token that you can think of that's on the PulseChain chain. And of course, you could do that. And of course, that could be good for your tax, because if you're lending and making profits against tax, you can write off the interest cost in most places. So definitely something to think about. Trade NFTs. You could trade NFT. NFT is going to be over there. There's going to be an airdrop of every token, including NFTs. So NFTs could be copied over, and you could trade NFTs on PulseChain. So that's something. Hold for profit for PLS. Now this seems pretty good to me, doesn't it? Hold for profit. Well, you know that there's deflation. You know that there's other things that people can spend their pulse on. You could just hold your pulse for profit. That seems like a good idea if you ask me. People that just held their Hex, of course, look what happened to them. Pump, 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 pump. And you know, tens of thousands of X there. Was it 20,000 if you staked it as well? Hold for profit, nice on there. So there we are, folks. Hold for profit. That's a pretty good one. I'm staying on that one a little while for long. Yield farming, compound. Of course, you might get stuff that's like on Polygon, where you get yield farming through the dexes with extra rewards, and then you can compound it with things like Adamant, and maybe they'll jump on there as well. So that those products could be up there. So pretty cool. Fee income, stake and delegate to validators. So fee income, stake and delegate to validators. You got to remember that remember PulseChain is going to have super cheap fees, so that's going to open up a lot of small to medium investors. So it's going to be, the economic energy on PulseChain is going to be mad. Things that are slowed down on Ethereum with the high fees are going to be opened up, and that means all the DeFi that's getting strangled on Ethereum will be able to open up its full potential to all investors. Fee income, stake and delegate to validators, obviously a big deal. So a lot of people will do that. Obviously, you're going to get a share of the fees, and that's going to be pretty cool. We go back to here with the delegators. You can see that that's the case. Let's go up the goals, and then we've got the validators here. Remember, PLS has zero inflation. Validators only earn fees, and 25% of the fees are burnt to reduce the debt claim supply. PulseChain native token PLS can be staked and delegated to validators that reward the delegators with the largest percentage of fees. So that's something interesting that a lot of people will do. Something that I would probably suggest. Obviously, nothing on this video is investment advice. You need to do your own due diligence, as well as seek independent investment advice if you need it. And of course, the fee income, stake delegators to validators. Obviously, this is pretty cool. So if there's deflation, you're earning extra volume. If the price goes up mega X's, then obviously you got volume times price, and you are killing it in the old validators. I think that's going to be fairly popular. Obviously, the fees will be relatively low, but you are getting a token that's decreasing in value, and any volume upside would help, especially if the price gets a multiple X on it, as many are hoping for. All right, so that's pretty cool, staking fee. And then you've got earn LP per token, provide liquidity LP. So whatever that LP token's called, I've seen names out there, so I'm not going to hold to them. Earn LP token, provide LP liquidity. You've obviously getting your pulse, and you're getting your free airdrop. You could enter a lot of pools with that combination and start earning LP token rewards. They're going to be obviously super cheap and super fast on the chain, which means that there'll be lots of turnover, lots of new projects, lots of new people, that network effect, and you could start early and start earning LP tokens. Obviously, you still face impermanent loss, but I think if you do it from the beginning, there's a good chance for impermanent gains as well. So very cool. All right, buy and or stake EHEX nowish. Nowish I got. Doesn't necessarily mean right now. You pick the timing, but buy or stake EHEX nowish for a copy and profit on PulseChain. Obviously, your HEX will get copied over. So that's really focused on the HEX side of things, and that pushes up the price, right, for your existing HEX. So it's kind of a special niche there. You may not have any HEX at all, and just getting your airdrop copy of all the other tokens, whatever they might be, on the ETH chain. Profit by buying leading tokens on PulseChain. Well, that's another thing. Instead of buying EHEX or PHEX, you could just buy any of the other leading top cryptos that are on the Ethereum chain, like Uni token or something like that. So that's something you could do. What else we got? Profit speculating on pre-launch tokens airdrop. So obviously, tokens that are already out there, like PulseSwap on the Binance Smart Chain, you could speculate on that and potentially get airdropped, copied over onto PulseChain when it launches, stuff like that. Hold Pulse, EHEX, PHEX, LP token. So hold all the four four golden children of Richard Hart, which we're excited about because I'm a big fan, obviously. But here we are. You could just do that and hold that. That's the classic strategy. So interesting stuff, folks. Some people, when the sacrifice was on, and they sacrificed certain tokens, particularly Hex, into the sacrifice. Other people kept all the Hex and speculated that price would rise, which it did. So there's lots of different strategies, folks, but they do have implications for what happens. Obviously, people that sacrifice for Pulse have to wait for Pulse to launch. People that decided to not sacrifice and keep their Hex are able to get the big bags in the price. Just the way things work out, and that's why I've done this video. Why PulseChain can make you rich, but the wealth depends on you and your decisions and your due diligence, your checking out ideas. Now, obviously, I think that Pulse is going to do fantastic, and so my tendency would probably be to stake the Pulse, but stake the Pulse with the validator, and get more volume. But once again, that's up to you. What's your risk and return profile? It's up to you. The other thing, obviously, you've sacrificed, especially if you've sacrificed for Pulse, then that Pulse is kind of inherently a bit more valuable. But maybe it goes through a big price up. So let's have a quick look at some of that. So let's go have a look at what Pulse. So this is the sacrifice, of course, $1 per sacrifice points. You can see people got the price up here. This excludes the bonus, of course. Let's say people got the price at quadruple 04 at the cheapest price, and then of course the price kept going up, especially on the sacrifice period, 17 days, 19 days, I should say. So you've got this period where people were getting more expensive their points, so their cost entry is actually higher. This excludes the bonus multiplier, of course. Wales did extremely well, the bonus multiplier. But you get the point. This is basically people have a minimum cost, so these people would sell at lower prices than you and still make a profit if they wanted to. But many people are trying to get the big X's, of course, and that's the way it's going to be. So I think there'll be a lot of room for pump mentors for profit taking. But obviously, we typically get that big rise in price, overshoots, and it starts coming down, and it reaches some sort of lower price, and that's when you could try and do buy and pulse. You could try to do the buy pulse. Here you could try and do that and buy the pulse, and then you could switch that, of course, and hold it for profit. So that's the one thing you could do a combination of these strategies, right? Where you buy the pulse for profit, and then of course you can stake that, or something like that. So very cool. All right, so the price goes up, and then you've staked it, you get more volume, and then the price goes up, you get more value. So that's just the way that works. So that's kind of the idea. So we've got the price at just as approximation, quadruple 04 up here, just for the 10,000 points, excludes the multiplier, as I say, and then people are just getting a higher price as they go on. 63 points at the moment for $1, compared to people who got 25,000 points up here at the current time. And we can also see on the Mercy here that the price now at the moment to get 10,000 sacrifice points, $159 it says on here as a guide, and of course that used to be way down at $1 in the first 5 days of sacrifice pays. But now that we're in this purple part, this Mercy period and sacrificing, people are still sacrificing, of course. We had something like 17 days ago, someone sacrificed around $1,000 in ETH, do that as well, and just shows you some people still sacrificing. You go into the sacrifice, you can still see people sacrificing, and that's pretty interesting. So there's quite a lot of demand, folks, a lot of opportunities, you could say, but whatever strategies or combination strategies you choose here will affect how wealthy you become. And as I say, a lot of people in Hex, those who didn't sell out, and there were many big hands that sold out, people selling 150 million Hex in the early days, in the first 6 months, 3 months, lost all that upside. And of course, those who held their diamond hands did pretty well. So there's a long-term versus a short-term point of view. You need to make some decisions. But here is some of the many options that will likely face you. So hopefully this has been a bit of help, just thinking about the opportunities. And you can do the diamond hand, paper hand, long-term, short-term, the high probability, the low probability of upside. So there's lots of different things just to think about here in any case. Hope you enjoyed this. For your consideration, feel free to subscribe, like, and share, of course, and hit the bell for future videos. I hope you enjoyed this one. Bye for now.